Lagos woke up to heavy rain. It started as a whisper against the synchros, then turned wild, angry. On the narrow street of Adekunle Junction, Amara held her small nylon bag close to her chest. Inside it were three things: a folded CZ, a pair of worn black shoes she had polished with cooking oil, and a cheap body spray that smelled faintly of lemons. She was running late for her interview at Elysian Group, one of the biggest companies in Lagos. The road was already turning into a shallow river. Mara adjusted her umbrella and whispered under her breath, "God, please let them see my heart, even if my shoes don't shine." She kept walking until something made her stop. Under a broken kiosk, an old woman sat, hunched against the rain. Her wrapper was soaked. Her bare feet trembled on the wet ground. She had no umbrella, no bag, not even slippers. People walked past her, pretending not to notice. One man even stepped over her leg as if she was part of the quota. Amala froze. Her heart stopped. She thought, if I walk away, this picture will follow me all day. It will sit behind me during the interview and ask me why I ignored her. She sighed and moved closer. "Mama," she said softly, "please come under my umbrella. This rain has no mercy." The old woman looked up. Her eyes were clear but tired, eyes that had seen more years than comfort. "My daughter," she said quietly, "I am fine. Go and do your own. God will bless you." Amara shook her head. "If you are fine, then let me be fine with you. Come, let's go where there is fire and ogi. This rain can't wait." The woman hesitated. Then slowly she stood. Amara held the umbrella above them both as they crossed the flooded road. Her hand ached, but she didn't lower it. They reached Mama Koti's store, where hot oil sang in a large frying pan. Steam rose, carrying the smell of pepper and akara into the air. "Mama Kudi," Amara called, smiling, "abeg give us 2 akara and ogi, hot one." "Ah, Amara, you don't turn rain visitor," Mama Kudi joked, scooping akara into a plate. The old woman sat near the fire, holding her hands close to the warmth. When she took her first sip of ogi, she closed her eyes as if tasting peace. Amara watched quietly. There was something calm about her, like the kind of people who know pain so well they no longer fear it. After a while, the woman reached into her wrapper and brought out a small beaded bracelet. It was brown and gold, handmade and carefully kept. "Take this," she said. "Lagos remembers. Sometimes it uses small things to remember big hearts." Amara blinked. "Mama, I can't take that. It looks important." The woman smiled. "Then wear it with sense. That is all I ask." Amara accepted it, the beads warm in her palm. Across the street, a black SUV slowed, tinted glass hiding whoever was inside. The car paused just long enough to see them, then drove up. When the rain finally eased, Amara turned to thank the woman again, but the seat was empty. The old woman was gone. Only the sound of dripping rain remained, like the city whispering, "Remember." Durham Heights was taller than Pride itself. The building rose from the center of Victoria Island, its glass walls reflecting a world most Lagosians could only dream about. Inside, the air smelled of perfume and expensive coffee. Amara stepped into the lobby, water still dripping from her umbrella. The receptionist looked up with practiced indifference. "Good morning. You are late," she said. "The rain held me," Amara replied, breathless. "But I came." The woman sighed, typed something, then waved her toward a chair. "You will wait. HR will call you." Amara sat, clutching her nylon bag. Around her, people in fine suits walked with confidence that echoed in their footsteps. She stared at her reflection in a shiny floor and whispered, "You don't belong here yet." When her name was finally called, she stood, smoothed her skirts, and walked in. 3 people sat behind a long table. A woman in white, a young manager pretending to be important, and the HR officer holding her CV. The woman in white looked up first. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. "Tell us why Elishan should trust you." Amara swallowed. "Because I treat people like people," she said softly. "Because I know what it feels like to be ignored. And because when I promise to do something, I keep to it." The young manager chuckled. "That sounds like church talk." Amara met his eyes. "Then maybe church talk is what your clients need." The woman in white raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "If a client insults you in public, what would you do?" Amara took a slow breath. "In that moment, I protect your brand. Later, I protect my dignity. Both can live together." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then the woman smiled slightly. "Well, we'll be in touch." Inside the interview room, Adora leaned back in her chair, watching Amara leave. The young manager beside her chuckled. "That girl talks like kindness can run a company." Adora smiled slightly. "Kindness opens doors," she said, "but results keep them open." She wrote Amara's name down and closed the file. "Let's see how long her kindness lasts in Lagos." Amara nodded and turned to leave. As she reached the door, it opened, and in stepped a man. Tall, neatly dressed, calm. He moved with the confidence of someone who didn't need to speak to the head. He stopped when their eyes met. His gaze dropped briefly to her wrist, the brown and gold beads glinting in the light, then returned to her face. Neither said a word. He nodded politely and walked past. Amara didn't know it yet, but she had just met Obinna Okonkwo, the billionaire whose heart had forgotten how to feel. When Amara got home, her mother was smiling by the small window, picking beans. The air smelled of kerosene and rain. "Mama, I think I did well," Amara said, dropping her bag. The woman smiled, just once, but it felt real. Ngozi looked up, her eyes warm but weary. "Good, but don't expect miracles, my daughter. The world does not always reward effort quickly." Amara knelt beside her. "Mama, sometimes I am tired of waiting. It's like the world wants proof before it gives you a chance." Her mother smiled faintly. "The world owes you nothing, Amara, but heaven remembers effort. When you give kindness, remember it is never wasted." Amara glanced at the bracelet again. "Mama, the old woman gave me this. She said Lagos remembers." Ngozi paused. "They wear it always. A gift given in rain carries power." They ate in silence after that. Boiled yam and pepper sauce. The sound of rain outside returned softly, gentler now, like a promise that hadn't been broken yet. When Amara went to bed, She looked at the base once more and whispered, "Remember me too." Morning broke softly over Lagos. The rain had stopped, but the streets still glistened, reflecting the pale orange sky. The city was already awake, generators humming, hawkers calling, downforce honking with impatience. Amara tied her scarf and swept the small run she shared with her mother. The floor was cool beneath her bare feet. She hummed quietly, trying not to think about the interview. Then a sound interrupted her. A knock on the door. Not loud, just two slow knocks, like someone sure of being heard. "Mama, you expecting anybody?" Amara asked. Ngozi shook her head. "No, open. Maybe it's one of our neighbors." Amara opened the door and found no one, only an envelope lying neatly on the mat. It was cream-colored, sealed with a gold E embossed on the flap. She frowned, picked it up, and turned it in her hands. Her name was written across the front in clear, bold handwriting. "Miss Amara Okafu." Her mother looked up. "Who sent you letter by hand in this Lagos?" Amara tore it open carefully. Inside was a folded paper with a single line written in black ink. "Tomorrow, 9 a.m., Ikoyi, come alone. Wear comfortable shoes. Use your heart, not your mouth." There was no name, no signature. Ngozi squinted at it. "Ikoyi? Comfortable shoes? This one no sound like ordinary interview. Hope it's not scam o." Amara smiled faintly. "I don't think it is, Mama. The handwriting looks gentle, and it smells like expensive perfume." Ngozi chuckled. "Perfume does not mean innocence, my daughter. Lagos people can spray fine scent and still smell of trouble." That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She lay on her small bed staring at the ceiling. The fan made its usual soft ground. Her thoughts raced. Why comfortable shoes? Why an envelope? Why not a text message? Why use your heart? She rolled over, staring at the bracelets on her wrist. The bees caught the faint light of the bulb and seemed to shimmer faintly, like they were alive. "Mama," she said softly, "do you think kindness ever comes back?" Her mother turned on her mat, half asleep. "Kindness is like rain, Amara. You don't always see where it lands, but it always falls somewhere." Amara smiled in the dark, but when she finally closed her eyes, she dreamt again of the old woman. In the dream, they sat under an almond tree in a quiet garden. The air smelled of flowers and wet earth. The woman poured drink into two glasses and said, "Kindness is a door, my daughter. But remember, not every hand that knocks deserves entry." Amara tried to ask what that meant, but her voice vanished. Then thunder roared, and she woke up, her pillow damp with sweat. Outside, the first cock crowed. Lagos was stretching awake again. She stood, washed her face, and tied her hair back. Her heart beat fast, half nervous, half expectant. As she left the house, her mother called after her, "Amara, whatever waits for you in Ikoyi, go with clean hearts and open eyes." She nodded, tightening her scarf. The sun peeked weakly over the skyline as she boarded a keke towards the address. The house stood quiet at the end of a long tree-lined street in Ikoyi. The gate was black, tall, and guarded by silence. Amara hesitated before pressing the bell. The gate slid open smoothly. revealing a garden too beautiful to belong to Lagos. Flowers bloomed in careful rows. The air smelled of rain and wealth. A housekeeper in white uniform appeared and gestured for her to follow. They walked past marble steps and wide glass doors until they reached the backyard. There, under the shade of an almond tree, sat the old woman from the rain. But this time, she looked completely different. Her wrapper was new, her head tied neat, her skin glowing with quiet grace. Amara froze. Mama, the woman smiled. Ah, my daughter, I was beginning to think you wouldn't come. Amara's voice trembled. You live here? The woman laughed softly. Yes, even mothers need shelter sometimes. She motioned for Amara to sit. A young maid appeared with a tray of zobo and off. The zobo glistened red in sunlight. Drink, the woman said. It's good for courage. Amara took a sip. It was sweet, cold, and strangely familiar. Mama, I don't understand. That stay in the rain, you said you had nowhere to go. The woman nodded slowly. I said what I needed to say to find what I was looking for. Amara frowned. Find what, Mama? The woman leaned back. I was looking for hearts. Real hearts. The kind that gives without camera, without expectation. She paused, her eyes fixed on Amara. People in this city pretend well, but the rain removes these guys. That day, you didn't see a beggar. You saw a person. Amara's mouth went dry. So all that was a test? Before the woman could answer, footsteps approached from behind. Amara turned. It was him, the man from the elevator, Obinna Okonkwo. He looked different today, dressed simply in a black kaftan. He greeted his mother first, then turned to Amara. You fed my mother in the rain, he said. For that, Lagos owes you a road, and I owe you gratitude. Amara blinked, speechless. Your mother? Mama Nina smiled. Yes, Obina is my son. I was tired of his word. People who bow with lips, but not with soul. I wanted to see if kindness still exists in this city. She reached out and touched Amara's hand, and I found it. Amara's mind raced. So you were never lost? The old man chuckled. Lost? Maybe a little. But sometimes, to find truth, one must walk where lies sleep. Obina spoke again, his tone calm but sincere. Come walk with us, Amara. Not as a messenger or cleaner, but in my office as my personal liaison for outreach. You will have freedom to design projects that help real people. Amara looked between them, stunned. I don't know what to say. Mama Nina smiled softly. Say yes, but remember, kindness should not become pride. Amara nodded slowly. Then yes, I will do it. Good, Obina said. Come tomorrow and keep wearing those beads. They brought you here. As Amara stood to leave, the woman called after her. Lagos talks, my daughter. It just prefers to whisper to those who notice. The next morning, the building didn't feel intimidating anymore. Orem Heights still glittered, but now Amara walked in with quiet confidence. The receptionist looked surprised. You again? Amara smiled. Yes, the founder's office asked me to return for duty. The woman blinked. Ah, you got the job? Congratulations, oh. Her voice softened immediately. The same woman who had once ignored her now stood to offer tea. Amara only smiled politely. Thank you, but what I will do? Inside the founder's office, she met Adora again, the elegant woman in white from her interview. Adora's smile was sharp, but her words smooth. So you are the new favorite, she said, the one everyone is whispering about. Adora stepped closer to Amara. I built my place here with hard work, not pity, she said. Don't mistake attention for respect. She smiled tightly. In Lagos, people clap for you today and gossip about you tomorrow. Then she walked away. Amara stayed calm. I'm just here to work. Adora tilted her head. Work, yes, but be careful. Attention in this building comes with a price. From that day, Amara worked quietly but efficiently. She observed, listened, learned. She greeted the cleaners before the managers, shared snacks with the security guards, and remembered every staff member's name. People began to talk, not with envy at first, but curiosity. They noticed how her presence changed the tone of the place. Meetings became warmer. Staff started helping one another more. One afternoon, as she left a meeting, she saw Obina standing by the window overlooking the city. He didn't turn as she approached. This city tests people, he said softly. It gives you chances to be kind or cruel. Amara stood beside him, and it watches which one you choose. He smiled faintly. My mother says you remind her of herself when she was young. Amara blushed. I'm not sure that's a compliment, sir. Oh, it is, he said quietly. She was fearless. Their eyes met for a brief moment, silent, steady, full of something neither of them named yet. Then he said, we are hosting a dinner on Friday. Come. It's formal, but it's family. You will understand. Amara nodded, though her stomach fluttered with nerves. She looked at the beads again. For the first time, they felt heavier than jewelry. Friday night arrived dressed in gold. The city glittered, streetlights blinking over wet asphalt. Honking cars forming music no one rehearsed. Above it all, the top floor of the Skycrest Hotel glowed like a crown. That was where Elishan's annual board dinner was being held, an event that could make or break reputations. Amara stood before her small mirror at home. Her black dress was plain but elegant, fitted at the waist, modest yet graceful. Her mother adjusted the collar, then stepped back to admire her. You look like somebody's answered prayer, Ngozi said softly. Just remember, let your humility wear heels taller than your shoes. Amara smiled. Mama, you always find ways that walk straight into my heart. Ngozi chuckled. That's because I have lived long enough to know Lagos can greet you with left hand after smiling with the right. Amara kissed her mother's cheek, picked up her small clutch, and left. While everyone prepared for the company dinner, Adola sat in a small office, watching the video clip of Amara under the rain. Edit the footage, she told the media team. Don't make it too emotional. Change the soft music. The technician hesitated. Should we get permission? Adora didn't blink. No need. It's good publicity. She watched Amara on the screen again and whispered, let's see how Lagos treats its angel. The hall of Skycrest Hotel smelled of perfume, champagne, and quiet ambition. Crystal chandeliers hauled above polished marble floors. Gentle jazz music floated through the air. Men in tudors laughed too loudly. Women in shimmering gowns smiled with practiced grace. Amara entered slowly, unsure where to stand. Her heart pounded. She had never been in a place like this, a world built on glass, where everyone's reflection mattered more than their shadow. Heads turned. Some faces looked curious, others looked annoyed. "She's the new girl," someone whispered. "The one from the founder's office," another murmured. Adora appeared beside her, flawless in a white satin gown that glowed under the lights. "Ah, Amara," she said, her voice smooth as silk. "You made it. I was beginning to think you would change your mind." Amara smiled faintly. "I wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't miss this." "Good," Adora said, looping her arm around hers. "You will enjoy tonight. We are showing something special." Smiled, even though she always had her motive. Amara didn't know what that meant, but she nodded politely. Minutes later, Obina entered with Mama Nena on his arm. The crowd strengthened immediately. Respect followed like a perfume. Mama Nena wore soft grey lace with coral beads. She looked radiant, ageless. Her eyes found Amara across the room and softened with quiet pride. The dinner began with laughter, speeches, and the clinking of glasses. Waiters moved elegantly between tables, serving dishes that looked too beautiful to eat. Then Adora stood, lifting her glass slightly. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her smile wide. "Tonight, I want to remind us why Elishan exists. Not just to build business, but to touch hearts." The lights dimmed. A giant screen lit up behind her. And then, like a mimic caught in lightning, it began. Rain. An old woman huddled beneath a broken kiosk. A young woman holding an umbrella over her, offering ogi and akara. It was Amara. The video played with clean natural audio, no music, just rain. The camera zoomed in on her face, on the kindness in her eyes. The crowd murmured in surprise. Adora smiled. "This," she said proudly, "is the heart of Elishan, a story of compassion that reminds us who we are." Apples blew out, phones came out, cameras flashed. Amara froze, her chest tightened. That moment, that private, sacred act of kindness was now entertainment. She whispered, "She filmed me?" Across the table, Mama Nena's face darkened. Her hand rested on her son's arm. Obina's expression was calm, but his eyes carried a quiet storm. He stood slowly. The room fell silent. "Kindness," he said softly, "is not a product. It's a principle." The silence deepened. Even the music stopped. My mother taught me that some moments belong to the heart, not the headlines. Whoever recorded this did so without consent. Adora's smile flattered. It was meant to inspire Obina. The people deserve to see beauty. "Then let them see truth," he replied evenly. "Delete the footage. Every copy." Whispers rippled through the hall. The board members exchanged nervous glances. Mama Nena rose next. Her voice was calm but carried with the authority of years. "Lagos is full of masks," she said. "Some smile, some sparkle, but rain always reveals who is clean beneath the powder." Her words rolled through the room like thunder disguised as poetry. No one spoke. Amara wanted to sink into her chair, invisible. Her hands trembled under the table. She could feel tears pressing behind her eyes. Obita turned to her. You don't need to say anything, he said gently. Your actions already did. Mama Nena touched her hand. Let the proud shout, my daughter. The humble never lose their echo. When the lights brightened again, Adora was gone from the stage. The music resumed, but the mood had changed. The laughter now sounded hollow. Amara excused herself quietly and stepped out to the balcony. The night air was cool, scented with rain and jasmine. Below, Lagos sparkled, chaotic, noisy, alive. She stood alone, staring at the city, until she heard footsteps behind her. It was Obinna. He joined her silently, leaning on the railing beside her. Do you know why that moment mattered? He asked softly. Amara shook her head. Because you gave something no one asked for. The purest acts are those the world never expects. But in this business world, purity confuses people. Amara exhaled shakily. I didn't want to be a symbol. I just wanted to help. He smiled faintly. That's exactly why you became one. They stood quietly for a long moment, the wind tugging at their clothes. Then he said, sometimes Lagos rewards hearts. Sometimes it just watches, but it always remembers. Amara looked up at him, eyes glistening under the balcony light. And what does it remember about us? He met her gaze. That kindness is still louder than pride. Below them, the city hummed. The sound of traffic and laughter floated up. The same city that had once ignored her was now listening. Later that night, Adora stood by the hallway, staring at her phone. If they love her too much, she muttered, they will care about anything bad about her. She pressed send on an email. The first rumor was ready to spread. By dawn, Lagos, an Elysian group, would wake up to a different story, and Amara's name would be in it. Morning light crept through the blinds of Amara's small apartment. Her phone was vibrating non-stop. She blinked, half awake, and saw dozens of messages flooding her screen. Twitter mentions, WhatsApp texts, missed calls. Her picture was everywhere. Clips of her feeding the old woman were spreading like wildfire. Umbrella Girl, the girl who helped the billionaire's mother. Hashtags filled the feed. At first, she didn't know whether to smile or hide. Mama, she called, people are posting my face online. Ngozi came out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on her wrapper. She squinted at the phone screen. So this is how fame knocks, without greeting. Amara sighed. It doesn't feel good, Mama. They made it look like a movie. Ngozi nodded slowly. That's because Lagos likes performance more than purity. Don't let applause confuse you. Her mother was right. The internet was loud but shallow. Some praised her, others doubted her story. Some even mocked her clothes. In a single night, she had become a stranger to herself. By noon, she was back at Elysian. The atmosphere was different. Stares followed her everywhere. Some smiled, some whispered, some turned away. Adora appeared by the glass door, her usual calm hiding 1,000 motives. Congratulations, she said smoothly. You are the most searched name in Lagos this morning. Amara frowned. I didn't ask for that. Publicity doesn't ask permission, Adora replied. It just arrives, and if you are smart, You use it. Amara sighed. Kindness shouldn't be currency. Adora smiled faintly. That's what people without influence always say. Before Amara could respond, Obinna entered. His voice was even. Adora, take Amara to Balogun Market. We are studying community interaction for our next outreach project. Adora's expression flickered, but she bowed slightly. As you wish. The market was alive with noise and color, hawkers shouting prices, children laughing, radios playing Fuji music, the smell of fried plantain and diesel mixed in the humid air. Balogun market had its own heartbeat. Amara walked beside Adora, notebook in hand, trying to focus on her tasks, but everywhere she went, people recognized her. Ah! Umbrella girl, one woman shouted from her store. You be that fine girl wey help mama for rain. Another woman left her shop and hugged her tightly. God bless your kind heart. You no know say dat thing touch me. A group of Okada riders clapped as she passed. Na she be dat. Dis Lagos still get better people. Adora's smile tightened as the crowd grew around them. Vendors offered Amara fruits, bottled water, even free clothes. Someone insisted on giving her a pair of sandals. Please, I can't take all this, Amara said, her voice kind but firm. I did nothing special. But the people wouldn't stop. They surrounded her, taking photos, shouting blessings. Even the market women who didn't know her prayed aloud. Adora finally pulled her aside, her tone low. Enjoy it while it lasts, she said. Fame fades faster than perfume. Amara looked at her quietly. I didn't come here to be famous, Adora. I came to learn. Adora tilted her head. Then learn this. In Lagos, perception is power. And right now, you have all of it. They continued walking until they reached a small store selling colorful Asoke fabrics. An elderly woman behind the counter smiled warmly. Her voice was gentle but steady. My daughter, Lagos remembers faces, especially those that give without fear. Amara smiled faintly. Mama, I'm just a girl who shared an umbrella. The woman chuckled. Then keep sharing. The city is watching, and so is heaven. Adora looked away, her face unreadable. As they left the market, the crowd followed them with cheers and laughter. Phones recorded, children waved, even strangers shouted her name. But beneath the noise, Amara felt something else, a quiet pressure building inside her. She thought about Mama Nina's words. Kindness should not become pride. That night, at home, Amara stared at herself in the mirror. Her reflection no longer felt familiar. There were new lines around her eyes, not from age, but from awareness. Her phone buzzed again, this time from an unknown number. They are turning you into a brand. Protect your soul. A friend. She looked at the message for a long time, her heart pounding. The contact had no name, no photo, just a number. And deep down, she knew exactly who had sent it. Her phone buzzed again, same unknown number. The warning was not over. The rain returned without warning. It began as a whisper, tapping the windows of Elishan's glass tower, then turned into a tantrum that Lagos could not calm. Streets flooded in minutes. Traffic froze. Generators roared to life. Amara stood by the window on the 12th floor, watching the downpour blur the skyline. The city looked like a painting washed by tears. Her phone buzzed. Mama Nina calling. Amara, came her calm voice, steady even through the storm. Are you safe? Yes, Mama, just in the office. Good. Then listen carefully. There's flooding in Makoko. Homes gone, children missing. The foundation must act. Amara's heart jumped. I will get volunteers. We can gather supply and boats. Mama Nena caught him gently. Don't wait for approval. Lagos doesn't reward delay. Move. The line went dead. Amara grabbed her jacket, ran to the lobby, and found Obinna already there. He was on the phone, backing instructions to logistics team. When he saw her, he simply nodded. You read my mind. Let's go. They drove through chaos. The roads were half rivers, half reflections of headlights. Okada swerved dangerously. Street lights flickered like weak stars. By the time they reached Makoko, the lagoon had swallowed half the settlement. Wooden horns leaned at impossible angles. Children screamed. Mothers waded through waist-deep water clutching pots, mattresses, and babies. The air was thick with panic and diesel. Amara stepped out of the car into ankle-deep water. The rain hit her face like tiny stones. She shouted to the volunteers, bring the ropes, form a line, move the old ones first. She waded forward, her clothes heavy, her hair soaked, her voice clear and strong. She helped carry a crying toddler to safety, tied makeshift raft with old jerrycans, handed over bread, painkillers, hope. Obinna moved beside her, both sinking into the mud, lending hands instead of giving orders. He didn't look like a billionaire now, just a man trying to keep people alive. At one point, a young boy slipped from a plank bridge and vanished under the brown water. Without thinking, Amara dove in. The water was cold and violent. Voices screamed her name, but she couldn't hear. She reached into the murky current, grabbed fabric, and pulled. The boy gasped for air as she dragged him into a floating barrel. When she emerged, drenched and shaking, the crowd erupted, clapping, crying, praying. Mama Nena's car arrived soon after, escorted by police trucks. She stepped out, wrapped in shawl, her face pale but composed. She saw Amara and walked straight to her, ignoring the mud, the chaos, the cameras. Are you mad, my daughter? She scolded softly. Do you think angels have no work left in heaven that you want to join them early? Amara smiled weakly, coughing. I couldn't just stand there. Mama Nena's eyes softened. That's what scares me. You have my heart, reckless with compassion. Then she hugged her tight, reminiscing with tears. By midnight, the flood began to recede. Volunteers built fires with dry wood salvaged from falling roofs. People huddled under plastic sheets, sipping hot pap. The smell of smoke and wet wood filled the air. Amara sat by one of the fires, her hands trembling, the bracelet glittering in the orange light. Across from her, Obinna, crushed, exhausted, watching her silently. Finally, he spoke. When I was younger, he said, my father told me money could fix anything. But tonight, I learned money can only pay for repairs. It can't restore peace. Amara looked at him. And what restores peace? He met her gaze. People like you. For a long moment, the only sound was rain dripping from rooftops. Their eyes held a truth that neither dared to name yet. Mama Nena approached, her shawl soaked, her face glowing from firelight. She placed a hand on both of their shoulders. My husband used to say, she whispered, the rain doesn't destroy, it reveals. Tonight, I saw who my son truly is, and I saw the woman who makes him better. The words hung between them, soft but powerful. Even the fire seemed to listen. At dawn, as the first week sun touched the water, Amara stood at the edge of the lagoon. Behind her, people sang quietly, songs of survival, songs of faith. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Lagos, for testing me, not drowning me." The waves replied with silence. Then a soft breeze brushed her cheek like a blessing, and for the first time since the rain began, she smiled. The sun rose shyly over Lagos the next day. The city smelled of wet earth and smoke. Plastic bottles floated in puddles like survivors of a forgotten war. But there was also laughter, small, tired laughter, the kind that comes from people who had nothing left to lose but still chose gratitude. Amara stood at the edge of the relief camp, eyes red from sleeplessness. Her hair was damp. Her clothes still smelled faintly of smoke. Children played near her feet, building castles out of wet sand as if the flood hadn't nearly washed them away. She smiled weakly, watching them. Each laugh felt like a reminder that life doesn't wait for permission to continue. A van pulled up. Reporters jumped out, cameras flashing before they even greeted anyone. They shouted questions. "Are you the girl who rescued that child? Were you the one leading last night's operation? Do you know the founder personally?" Amara raised her hand calmly. "Please, no interviews. Just help us carry the supplies." They hesitated. One man muttered, "But this will trend." "Let life trend first," she said quietly. Mama Nena, who had been nearby, turned and smiled proudly. "Let her be," she told them. "You cannot film sincerity without making it smaller." The journalists lowered their cameras, almost embarrassed. Together, they helped distribute blankets and food. By noon, the work slowed. The worst was over. Mama Nena approached Amara with a flask. "Drink ginger tea. It calms the body after courage." Amara took a sip. The warmth spread through her chest like relief. Mama smiled. "You saved lives last night, my daughter." Amara shook her head. "We all did." "No," Mama said gently. "Many watched, few acted." She looked into her eyes. "You have what money cannot buy, conviction. But be careful. The world likes to use people like you until your light burns out." Amara nodded slowly. "Then I will keep my light small but steady." Mama Nena chuckled. "That's how lambs survive the wind." Later that evening, Amara returned home to Surulere. Her mother Ngozi opened the door before she even knocked. "Ah, my daughter," she cried, hugging her tight. "I saw everything on TV. They said a young woman led the rescue. I told them that's my child." Amara laughed softly. "Mama, it wasn't just me." Ngozi pulled back, holding her shoulders. "Maybe not, but the whole city is talking. They said even big companies want to meet the girl who turned flood into faith." Ngozi smiled knowingly. "Change comes with noise, my dear. Just make sure the noise doesn't change you." They sat together in silence for a while, the hum of the ceiling fan filling the room. For once, there was peace, a simple, sacred kind of peace. The next morning at Elishan, the atmosphere had shifted. Employees greeted her differently, not with curiosity now, but with quiet respect. Someone had painted her picture from the news and pinned it to the notice board beside a quote, "Real power is service without witnesses." She paused, touched the paper gently, then removed it. When Adora passed, her heels clicking like applause, she smirked. "You are the company's newest legend," she said. "Careful, Legends are easy to destroy when they stop entertaining. Amara met her gaze calmly. Then I will keep doing what legends forget. Walking. Amara's smile faltered. She turned sharply and walked away. A few steps later, Obina appeared, carrying a folder. May I see you for a moment? He asked. They entered his office. Wide windows, quiet air, the city stretching beyond the glass. For a moment, neither spoke. She watched her, the tired eyes, the faint bruise on her wrist, the way her hands still trembled slightly. Finally, he said softly, "You didn't just help people last night. You helped me see what leadership should look like." Amara looked down. It was instinct. "That's the difference," he replied. "You act where others analyze." He placed the folder on the table. Inside were photographs from the flood, volunteers, families, the rescue lines, children smiling beside burnt lamps. Each photo had a small note written beneath it. At the last page was one of Amara, drenched, holding a baby wrapped in plastic. Beneath it, Obinna had written in his own hand, "Where the city breaks, she builds." Amara felt her throat tighten. "You shouldn't have written that." He smiled faintly. "I didn't write it for others to see." They stood in silence for a long time. Then Obinna said quietly, "The foundation will expand. I want you to lead the new outreach unit directly under me." Amara hesitated. "Sir, I'm not trained for leadership." He shook his head. "You are trained by life. Lagos trained you, and that's harder than any degree." She smiled softly. "Then I will do my best." "I know you will," he said, eyes warm. "Just don't lose yourself. This city already loves you. Don't let it own you." That evening, as she rode home in a keke, the sun painted the city gold again. People were sweeping flood debris off the roads, laughing, rebuilding. A street preacher shouted over the traffic, "Lagos will rise again." And for once, Amara believed it. The wind through the open tricycle carried the smell of roasted corn and wet dust. She leaned back, eyes half closed, a small smile forming. Somewhere in the chaos of the city, she heard the faint voice of Mama Nena in her head. "Kindness is never poor. It's an investment that never goes bankrupt." And Amara knew her story wasn't ending. It was just beginning. The next morning, the whispers began. People were talking in corners. Online headlines read, "Favoritism in Elishan? And is kindness just another strategy?" Adora walked through the office calmly. "Keep the boss alive," she told her assistant. "Perception is everything." Her face looked calm, but inside, jealousy was eating her slowly. Fame came quietly this time, not with cameras, but with whispers. At Elishan, Amara's name carried a new kind of weight. People stepped aside when she walked past, her desk filled with flowers and thank you notes from strangers she had never met. But fame, like Lagos rain, didn't wash everyone clean. Some people stood under it hoping others would drown. Adora watched from her glass office, her red nails tapping the desk softly. Every praise Amara received sounded to her like an insult. Every compliment for the umbrella girl felt like a reminder that charm was losing to authenticity. "She's not even trying," Adora muttered one afternoon, closing her laptop too hard. Her assistant flinched. "Ma, nothing," Adora said, smiling tightly, "just thinking about how fast Lagos forgets who built its ladders." But Adora wasn't just jealous. She was afraid. Afraid that Obinna, The man whose respect and attention she had quietly chased for years no longer noticed her presence. She saw how he looked at Amara, not with romance yet, but with the rare softness of a man remembering his humanity, and that terrified her more than love ever could. So she planned quietly, carefully. As days turned into weeks, Amara worked late most nights, reviewing files, planning foundation outreach projects. Obinna often joined her, not as a boss, but as a partner in purpose. They spoke easily now, sometimes about work, sometimes about life, sometimes about nothing, and that nothing always felt like everything. He would ask, "Do you ever get tired of giving?" And she would answer softly, "Only when people take without learning." He would laugh gently, "Then teach me." Those small exchanges became their rhythm. No declarations, just quiet trust. The kind of love that doesn't start with fireworks, but with understanding. Adora watched it grow, and with every quiet smile they shared, her envy sharpened into strategy. She began feeding stories to the press, subtle, polished ones, headlines that looked harmless but carried poison. Founders office favoritism, inside the sudden rise of Amara Okafor, charity or charm, how Alicia's heart might be beating for more than business. These were some of the headlines. The story spread slowly, like smoke without fire, believable because of their calm tone. At first, Amara ignored them, but when she walked into a meeting one morning and saw the room fell silent, she understood. People were beginning to doubt her purity. Afterwards, she found Obinna in his office. He looked up from his papers, his eyes full of quiet storm. "You've seen the articles," he said. "Yes," she replied. "They don't hurt me, but they hurt what we are building." He stood, walked to the window, then turned back. "Do you think I believe them?" Amara shook her head. "You don't need to defend me. Just don't let them make you doubt yourself." He smiled slightly. "You think I doubt easily?" She smiled back. "Only when it matters." That was when he realized what she meant, and that his heart had already chosen her long before his mind admitted it. That night, Adora called a private meeting with a journalist she trusted. "If you want a real story," she said softly, "dig deeper. The founder's mother and this Amara, there is more history than you think." The journalist leaned forward. "You have proof?" Adora's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Not yet, but I always get proof." She was lying, but sometimes lies wear suits that truth cannot afford. The next day, Obinna summoned Adora. When she entered his office, her perfume filled the air before her waist stayed. "You wanted to see me?" she asked sweetly. He didn't look up. "Sit." She sat. "Tell me," he said calmly, "why you are trying to destroy the same company you helped build." Adora blinked, feeling surprised. "Excuse me?" Obinna sat across from Adora in the boardroom. "The leaked stories, the footage. You went too far," he said quietly. Adora kept her chin high. "I did what was best for the company." Obinna sighed. "We will take a break from the media work. 6 months in community projects. Earn people's trust again." Adora froze. "You are demoting me?" "Call it a second chance," Obinna replied. "You're too smart to stay bitter." Adora picked up her files and left. Pride wouldn't let her cry, but she knew Lagos had taught her a lesson. Her composure cracked, just slightly. "I only told the truth," she said. He looked up, finally meeting her eyes. Truth without mercy is cruelty, and cruelty wears you like perfume. The silence between them was heavy. Adora's face stiffened. You are defending her? I'm protecting integrity, he replied, which you used to have. Adora stood abruptly. One day, you will realize that women like me build the empires you give to women like her. She left before he could respond, her heels clicking like broken apples. Outside his office, her eyes burned, but she didn't cry. Jealousy doesn't always weep. Sometimes it plans its next move. Weeks passed, the gossip faded like morning fog, replaced by headlines about the foundation's success. Makoko's rebuilt schools, Balogun's women's traders receiving loans, flood survivors with jobs, results louder than rumors. Amara became the face of quiet impact, not perfect, not flashy, but genuine. One evening, after a long day of meetings, she was about to leave when Mama Nina entered her office. The old woman's smile was calm, her eyes tired but proud. My daughter, she said softly, do you know why I wore rags that day in the rain? Amara shook her head. I wanted my son to meet someone who didn't see wealth before seeing what. The world bows to power but ignores grace. You saw me when no one else looked. Amara's eyes glistened. Mama, you have given me more than I ever gave you. Mama smiled. Then we are even. She took off the gold beaded necklace around her neck and placed it gently into Amara's hand. These beads belonged to my mother, she said. She told me when you give love to the right person, even the wind becomes witness. Amara stared at the beads, her voice trembling. Mama, I can't. You can, Mama interrupted softly. Because I'm not giving them to you for beauty. I am giving them to you for belonging. Tears slid down Amara's cheek. Mama Nina smiled. My son will come soon. Don't argue with the future, my daughter. It already knows your name. She turned and left quietly, her footsteps soft like blessings. Minutes later, Obinna entered. He looked tired, the kind of tired that comes from fighting battles money can't solve. Amara stood, trying to hide her tears. He noticed instantly. What's wrong? Your mother, she said, smiling through it. She has a way of giving love that makes you feel both unworthy and chosen. Obinna nodded slowly. That's her gift. And now I see she passed it on. For a long moment, they just stood there. No words, no movement. Then he said quietly, Amara, you changed this company. But more than that, you changed me. She looked away, her heart loud in her chest. You don't mean that. He stepped closer. I do. Before you, I led with fear of failure. Now, I lead with purpose. You taught me that. Amara's eyes lifted to meet his. And you taught me that kindness doesn't need poverty to prove itself. Silence, soft, charged, sacred. He took her hand gently. So what happens now? She smiled faintly. Now, we build. We build with heart. He nodded. And after building, her smile deepened. Maybe we learn to rest. He laughed softly. That's rare, unguarded laugh she had only heard once before at the flood camp when a child threw bread into his lap. Then quietly, without drama or music, he said, I think I'm already resting when I'm with you. Her breath caught. The city outside buzzed. traffic horns, laughter, generators. But in that office, time slowed. She whispered, then maybe I am too. And that was how love began, without confession, but with peace. Months later, their story circled back to where it started. Under the almond tree at Mama Nina's house, the garden smelled of flowers and rain. Guests from Makoko, Malogo, Surulere filled the air with laughter and songs. Mama Nina sighed proudly, watching her son and the woman who had once shared an umbrella in the storm. Obinna held Amara's hand, placed a small ring on her finger, and said softly, when Lagos rained, you gave my mother shelter. Now, let me give you the same for life. Tears ran freely, not just from her eyes, but from everyone who knew what that moment meant. Mama Nina lifted her hand and blessed them, together with Ngozi, Amara's mother. Kindness never dies, she said. It only changes address. And as they embraced, the crowd cheered, not for wealth, not for status, but for grace returning home. Moral lesson: kindness is never poor. It may walk barefoot, it may get mocked, but it never goes unrewarded. For in a city that forgets names, Lagos always remembers hearts. For more interesting African folktales and stories like this, please do well to like, leave a comment, and share our videos. Most importantly, besties, please subscribe to our channel. That is your way of encouraging us to bring interesting stories like this. Have you subscribed? Please subscribe. Until I bring your way another interesting story. For now, bye.